Welcome to Education for Excellence. In our last videos, we had a discussion of Union Legislature. We discussed most important topics like parliamentary procedures, parliamentary motion. In our last class, we had discussion of three important parliamentary motions. That is no confidence, adjournment, censure, and one more motion which is not in your syllabus. That is cut motion. Today, we are going to discuss the continuation part of the lesson, Union Legislature. Under this part, we will discuss the powers and the functions of the Parliament. Legislative powers, financial, executive, electoral, judicial, constitutional, and such other powers we are going to discuss in this video. Okay, let's start with the legislative power. Here, we are going to discuss the legislative power of the Parliament on union list, state list, concurrent list, and the residuary power of the Parliament, ordinances of the Parliament, and even the emergency powers of the Parliament. See, all bills other than money bill can originate in any house of the Parliament. No bill can become a law unless agreed by both the houses. If there is disagreement, then the president will summon the joint session and that joint session get presided by the speaker, and in that joint session houses will come to a conclusion by deciding on the base of voting. The majority vote decides the topic. Here, the parliament is competent to make law on the matters of state, the matters of union, the matters of concurrent. Let's see how it plays the role in these three lists. State list, as you know, the parliament can legislate even on the subject included in the state list. But as we discussed in the federal system of the government, state government is free to look after the subjects which comes under the state list. But in this situations, just like during the proclamation of an emergency, it means the announcement of an emergency, or when the Rajya Sabha passes a resolution by two-third majority that a subject on the state list has assumed national importance, or when two or more states are of the opinion that parliament should legislate on the subject given in the state list, then the parliament may make an act on the subject, but that would be applicable only to the concerning states. But in union list, already you know that the parliament has an exclusive power to make law on all the 97 subjects mentioned in the union list. Union list, which is also called the central list, the subjects like defense, communication, foreign policy, railway, etc., it comes under union list. Concurrent list is that where both state legislative assembly and union legislative assembly will share the power. Here, the parliament can make laws on 47 subjects listed in the concurrent list. If there is a conflict between the union parliament and state legislature on any law in this list, the union law will be prevail. It means union law will be the final. Union Parliament has a special power that is called residuary power. As per this power, Union Parliament can make laws with respect to all those matters which are not mentioned in any of these three lists. Except that ordinances. Ordinances is nothing but the special power of the president. The president is empowered to promulgate an ordinance. It means announce an ordinance or an order which can pass at the time when the parliament is not in session. It has the same effect as an act. But all ordinances must be put up before both the houses for their approval. Ordinances is to operate after 6 weeks from the reassembly of parliament, unless they are approved by the houses. Powers during emergency. When there is a total breakdown of the constitutional machinery in a state of emergency is declared in the state. During this period, the parliament becomes the legislature in the state concerned and assumes all the power, including financial power of passing the state budget. Now, let us come to know the financial powers of the parliament. Parliament plays a significant role in the preparation of budget, supplementary grants, vote on account, salaries, and permission for the taxes. A money bill can originate in Lok Sabha only. After a money bill is passed by the Lok Sabha, it is sent to Rajya Sabha or its recommendation which it must make within 14 days. In financial matters, the Rajya Sabha has only an advisory role, where Lok Sabha played a significant role on the matters of finance. The budget. The parliament passes the union budget containing the estimates of receipts and expenditure of the government for the financial year. The budget is presented in two parts, namely the railway budget and the central budget. Supplementary grants. The amount authorized for the current financial year is not sufficient, then the government may make a fresh demand which is known as supplementary grants, where they can ask for the grants. Salaries. As you know, the salaries of MPs, the salaries of ministers, even though the salaries of Chief Justice and judges of High Court and Supreme Court and all the important dignitaries in the union, it get decided by the parliament. Permission for taxes. No tax can be imposed or money spent by the government without the approval of the parliament. For any kind of impose of taxes, parliament's permission is most important. In the matters of finance, Lok Sabha enjoys more powers than the Rajya Sabha. As you know, money bills can introduce only in the Lok Sabha. Once the money bills go to the Rajya Sabha, they have to be sent back to the Lok Sabha within 14 days. And they don't have such power to withhold the money bill. The Lok Sabha may accept or reject the recommendation of Rajya Sabha regarding the money bill. Now, let us come to know the executive powers of the parliament. Interpellation is the most important executive power of the parliament, and such other powers like vote of no confidence, adjournment motion, censure motion. These motions already we had discussed in our previous videos, and monetary controls is also the most important executive powers of the parliament. Let us come to know what are these. The Council of Ministers are collectively responsible to the Lok Sabha because you know that majority Council of Ministers get appointed by Lok Sabha. The ministers remain in the office as long as they enjoy the confidence of majority members in the House. So, Lok Sabha have control over the ministers. Let's see how Lok Sabha control the ministers. First, interpellation. As we discussed in the parliamentary procedure, there is a parliamentary procedure called question hour. Here, question hour controls the ministers. By asking questions, by seeking the information in the question hour, by sitting at houses discussing live and seeking information and answer on floor, they can control the Council of Ministers. This power of asking questions is called interpellation. And you know that the questions are asked to obtain information on matters of public importance or to highlight the other information. It is valuable device against the injustice and lack of administration over the government. So where through interpellation they can have control. Interpellation is nothing but the power of asking questions to the ministers. By that they can control the Council of Ministers. Next, vote of no confidence. Already we had discussion of this. If a government acts against the constitutional provinces, it can be voted out of office by passing a vote of no confidence against the prime minister or the minister as a whole or any of its members. In such case, the whole ministry has to resign. Then, electoral powers. Here we are going to discuss the electoral powers of the parliament in the matter of elections to the president, elections to the vice president, election to the speaker, election to the deputy chairman. So dear children, already we got to know that how speaker get elected. Speaker of Lok Sabha get elected among the members of Lok Sabha itself. And in the absence of speaker, the deputy speaker is going to preside the meeting. The dignitaries such as deputy speaker are also get elected among the members of Lok Sabha. Here, Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha, and state legislative assemblies plays a significant role in the election of president and vice president. The Parliament of India, along with the state legislature, elects the President of India. The Vice President of India is elected by both the houses of the Parliament. Here, in the election of Vice President, only Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha will take the part. The Lok Sabha elects its own Speaker and Deputy Speaker from among the members of the Lok Sabha itself, and Rajya Sabha elects the Deputy Chairman. You know that the Vice President is called the ex officio chairman, but Rajya Sabha itself can't elect the vice president. Vice president get elected by the electoral college, included both the houses, but the deputy chairman for Rajya Sabha get elected by the Rajya Sabha members itself. Judicial powers: impeachment of the president, removal of judges, and punishment. See, the parliament has the right to remove the president from the office through a procedure known as impeachment. The removal of president, the removal of the Supreme Court Chief Justice, the removal of vice president is called impeachment. So, in case of violation of the constitution or misconduct, or either house may frame charges against the president. If a resolution to this effect is passed by two-third majority of members present and voting, the other house investigates the charges. If the other house too finds the president is guilty, he may be impeached and removed him from the office. This impeachment procedure is most powerful procedure, where if the president is guilty, or the Supreme Court Chief Justice, or the main dignitaries, what I said, if they found guilty, in such extent a resolution can pass by either of the house by two-third majority. If the resolution passes from Rajya Sabha, then the president or the chief justice to be appear in the Lok Sabha, and vice versa. Here, if the resolution passed by Lok Sabha, then he has to be appear in Rajya Sabha. If other house too finds the president guilty, he may be impeached and removed from the office. Way, the Parliament can remove the judges of Supreme Court, the judges of High Courts, the Chief Election Commissioner, the Comptroller and Auditor General of India, if they are found guilty of violating provisions of the Constitution. The Parliament can punish a person for obstructing of work of Parliament or showing disrespect to the House. In 1961, the Parliament reprimanded the editor of the Blitz for ordering a member of the Parliament. In 1961, the Parliament punished on the criteria or on the action of abusing or targeting or the commenting in negative way towards a member of the parliament. Here, if we come to know the constitutional powers, amendment to the constitution is the main power of the parliament. Amendment of the constitution. During the bills, we had discussion of constitutional amendment bill. See, both houses of the parliament can amend the constitution. The amendment must be passed by each houses by a majority of total membership and by two-third majority of members present and voting. Such other powers of the parliament is nothing but the parliament may alter the name or boundaries of the state if needed. It can also form a new state by merging the territories of existing state or by separating a part of territory from the state. It makes law regarding to the composition, jurisdiction and powers of the Supreme Court. The Parliament may establish common high court for two or more states. Powers. These powers are related to the amendment to the Constitution. Here, both houses of parliament can amend the Constitution. The amendment must be passed by the House by a majority of total membership and by a two-third majority of members present and voting. If we come to know about the other powers of the parliament may alter the names or boundary of state if needed. It also form a new state by merging the territories of existing state or by separating a part of a territory from a state. It make laws regarding the composition, jurisdiction, and powers of Supreme Court. The Parliament may establish a common high court for two or more states. So, I think for today it is enough. And in our next class, which will be our last class related to the Union Legislature, we are going to study about exclusive powers of Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. With that, we are going to study relationship between two houses of the parliament and the differences. And finally, we will study the role of speaker and the powers and functions of the speaker. Stay tuned. Have a nice day. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share my channel Education for Excellence.